Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in your mind, in your body, in your spirit. My name is Loreal Moss. I am the Soft Life System Strategist, and thank you for joining the live stream today. I am trying something new. I normally just stream from my phone, but I'm using my phone for notes today. My phone, and I got a sheet of paper too for some last minute notes that came through. But I'm streaming on Instagram and Substack, so I hope this is working. I cannot see comments right now, but please drop comments. I absolutely will go back and make sure that I respond to you all. I also want to say really quick before we jump into the subject matter for today, which is 3 core systems that you need for a thriving business. That's what we're talking about. But before we get into that, go ahead and like this live stream, share this with somebody who may need it, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. So, again, my name is Loreal Moss. I am the system strategist and consultant for high performing women entrepreneurs who want to create structures to support the soft life that they desire. And I wanted to create this stream. I'm pulling up my notes. I wanted to create this stream and talk to you all about this because I'm running into I'm seeing some things that can easily be corrected. Okay. So the main thing that I've noticed in some different groups that I'm in, I've noticed this as I'm rebuilding my own systems. I've noticed this as I go back and I'm helping, friends and prospective clients get things in place. One thing that people are confusing or misunderstanding is that you need to have 40 something different systems for everything that you're doing in your business. Now, this is not necessarily wrong, but most small business owners do not need that many systems. And a lot of the times where people mess up at is that they are automating things that don't really work. They're automating things that don't make sense. I call it automating chaos, right? But there's ways to prevent that, okay? So instead of talking about like breaking down every single little thing, because there absolutely are tools that you need, there are processes that you need to have in place. I'm going to bundle that all up and share with you the 3 core systems that you need in order to have a thriving business. I also want to let you know I am hosting a workshop March 29th where we are going to go in depth about these systems. And this is not your average workshop. This is not, I'm going to come and get a worksheet and I'm going to listen to her talk and then I'm going to leave and I'm not going to take action. This is a workshop. It is a working session, okay? And we're going to get together and we're going to go into detail about the elements that you need to have in each of the 3 systems that I'm going to lay out for you all tonight. So if you know that there's something that you're interested in, if you want a little bit more information about that, you can comment workshop and you'll get a message to join the wait list and I'll send you additional information about that. Also, if you are watching this and what I'm saying is resonating with you, I have opened up a few spots this week to get a 60-minute mini intensive with me so that we can go over one issue in your business. And if you know that that's something that you're interested in or you want more information about that, you can comment quick fix and I'll make sure that you get the link to book this session. Now let's go ahead and get into it. So the first system that I want us to talk about today is money. Okay, that is the first system. I thought about saving that to last, but let's just go ahead and get that on and popping and out of the way. Let's talk about money. So, when you think about money, there's probably a lot of feelings that come up. There's a lot of thoughts that come up. But one of the main thoughts as it relates to money in business is how am I going to make the money? Right? The focus is on getting the clients. The focus is on closing the sale. The focus is on booking that call. But the money system in your business is more than just the money that comes in. It's also not just creating a budget, right? The money system in your business serves the purpose of helping you to know exactly what's coming in, exactly what is needed, what's going to go out, where it's going, and why. So it's much bigger than just creating a budget. One of the things that I will never forget this, one thing that I found as an operations manager, online business manager, even when I was working as a virtual assistant many moons ago, a lot of high performers and high earners they have so many different ways that they're making money, they're losing track of where their money is coming from. And that is how you end up with subscriptions that you're not using, broken links and things that are not working, all of that. So the money system in your business serves the purpose of knowing where the money is coming from, like how people are paying you, when they're paying you. And there are a couple of things that you want to make note of in your money system. One of those things is you want to know how much money you are spending, what your price is per transaction. That's the first thing that you want to know. What is the price per transaction for every single thing that I offer in my business? How much is my strategy session? How much is a VIP day? How much is this digital download? If you have multiple digital downloads that you're offering, are you varying the price based on how long it is? So if it's a 1-page download, how much is that? 10-page download, how much is that? You need to know exactly how much you are charging for every single offer in your business. Every consultation, every session, every product, you need to know exactly how much you're charging. You also need to know how much people are paying you. You need to know how much they're paying you and where they're going to be paying you. Are they paying you through PayPal? Are they paying you through um, Stripe? Are they paying you through Facebook? Are they paying you through Square? You also need to know how much the processing fees are for whatever it is that they're paying for. There's also tax. I am not a tax expert. I do not know tax law. So, but I will say, look up whatever the tax law is in your area so that you can know if you need to be adding tax. A lot of business owners may not add tax to a transaction or a service that they offer. If they need to put tax, they will build the price of the tax in so that it's not off-putting for their clients. So let's say you have a digital download. Let's say you have like a digital planner that you're offering, and you say that it's $7.99 for this digital planner. If you need to, based on the tax laws in your state, create tax or add tax to that planner, some business owners will build in the price of the tax to the planner instead of having the price be $7.99 and then the tax is like $12.99 or something. I know that tax number is ridiculous, but y'all get where I'm going with that. Okay, so you want to know your price per transaction. You want to be clear on, whatever tax you need to offer or add on. And you also want to look at how much you're spending on your marketing, your ads, your coaching, your consulting, your strategy sessions. If you have a team or a contractor, you want to be making sure that you are that team member is budgeted into the money that is coming in. It is very hard to try and pay a team member when your business is not making money. So when you are creating your budget for your business, you want to be clear on exactly how much you need to pay your team member and make sure that you are charging accurately for your products and your services so that you can cover the cost of that team member out of your business instead of you having to pay out of pocket, like if you have a 9-to-5 or if you have like savings or something like that. Do whatever you feel like you need to do, but I'm just letting you know what I know. Okay. So one question I want you to think about as it relates to your money system is, do you know your numbers? Do you know what you need to bring in minimally every month to cover all of your expenses? for your business. For like, how much is your email marketing? How much is your how much are you paying for Canva? How much are you paying for your automation software? How much do you need to pay your team members, right? You need to be absolutely clear on these numbers. Now, the second system that I want to touch on is your time management system. I want to touch on the time management system. So a lot of the time we feel like there's just not enough time in the day. We feel like there's just absolutely no way to get all the things done. I'm going to challenge that. And I'm going to say, instead of focusing on getting all the things done, focus on getting priority things done. 9 times out of 10, the time management problem is not based on like the task that you're doing. It's based on the priority of the tasks that you're doing. Even though everything may feel urgent, at times I guarantee that everything that you're doing is not urgent, and everything cannot carry the same amount of weight. Okay. So a lot of the times you feel tired and you're frustrated and you're burned out and you're pissed off because you're doing all this work, but the needle is not moving forward. And that's because you are focusing on busy work. You're focusing on work that's going to give you those quick dopamine hits. You're focusing on ideation. You're focusing on aesthetic. You're not focusing on the tasks and the activities that are going to push you closer to your goal, whether that is, booking a speaking event, getting on a podcast, finishing your book, making that sale, whatever that is. Those are the things that are going to move you forward. And accomplishing those goals is what makes everything feel worthwhile. So instead of chasing the easy things, the simple things that end up taking you hours at a time to do, but that's a story for another day, focus on finishing and working on those activities that are going to allow you to move the needle forward. Okay. So one thing that I always have people do is I have them, whenever we start working together, I ask them, what does your day look like? And they're like, oh, well, I worked on this, I worked on that. No. That's not what I'm asking. I want to know, when you woke up, what you did when you woke up. How long were you scrolling on your phone? When did you open up the computer? When did you actually start working on the computer? What did you work on? Did you have, a task list, or did you just start with whatever popped into your head first, and then while you were working on that, you remembered that you need to do something else, so you stopped working on that to go and do the other thing, and then when you were doing the other thing, you were like, oh crap, I forgot I was working on this first, and then you went back, and then by the end of the day, you didn't get anything done. That's usually how most people's day work, but it doesn't have to be that way. So when it comes to your time management system, I want you to think about priority tasks. I also want you to think about ways that you can delegate. Even if you're not in a position right now to hire an assistant, there are things that AI can do for you to make things simpler and to help you cut back on time. And there are things that you can delegate. There are things that you can delegate. And even if you're not delegating it to a person, you can delegate it to a specific day or a specific block of time on your calendar. So your CEO tasks are the things that require you. Anything where you are the only person that can do it, those are the things that you focus on. Those are the priority tasks. Okay. Anything that does not necessarily require you, anything that you could potentially hire out, anything that is going to be very time consuming, those are things that you want to delegate. You also want to think about the repetitive things that you're doing day in, day out in your business. That repetition, put a process in place and automate it. Put a process in place and automate it. And before you automate it, make sure you test it, because there are a lot of people that are automating broken processes. Okay, so those are some things that I want you to think about when it comes to your time management system. I also want you to think about things that are time consuming. I already kind of touched on that. You want to delegate things that are taking you a lot of time. Okay, so I know that this is a lot of information. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, I am going to be hosting a workshop March 29th where I'll go into deep detail about these three systems, and we're going to get together and work on them during this session. So if you're interested in information about that workshop, you want to go ahead and book your spot. It is free to sign up. You can comment workshop and you'll get the link to go ahead and join the wait list. Okay. If you are listening to this, watching this, and you're like, oh my God, I really need some help. If you want to book a quick fix session, which is like a 60-minute mini intensive with me, you can comment quick fix and I'll make sure that you get the link to go ahead and book that session this week. Okay. Now, we're going to be wrapping it up because I don't want to keep you all too long. The third system that I want to talk about today is your decision-making system. Your decision-making system. That is a system that gets ignored very often because a lot of people don't think of decision-making as a process. A lot of people approach decision-making from a space of reactivity versus being proactive in decision-making. Okay. But you have to create a structure, right? And that structure is a framework. Now, I don't want you to be intimidated by a framework, okay? Basically, a framework is, how can I say? Your framework is like, think of it like a recipe, okay? Think of it like your favorite recipe, right? One of the examples that I used in my audio series that I just wrapped up last week. Think of your framework as like your recipe to like Granny's lemon pound cake with the homemade glaze, right? You want that cake to turn, you are craving that cake. You want that cake so bad, but you know that if you go in there and try to make it yourself, you're going to mess it up. If you try to use somebody else's recipe, you're going to mess it up. So you call up your granny and you're like, Granny, I really want this cake. Can you make this cake for me? And you're going to sit with your granny while she goes through the process of making the cake. And if she doesn't give you a recipe, you're going to create one so that you can replicate the result, right? So think of your framework as that. Think of it as a recipe card. This is going to be the process that you follow to make sure that you get the same result every single time, no matter what it is that you're doing. Right. And then you have the elements of the recipe card. You have all of the ingredients that you need, right? You have the ingredients, you have the measurements for the ingredients. Then you have the instructions, right? Then you may have some helpful tips, right? Let's say you're making the cake and it's not rising for some reason. Granny has a fix for that. She can show you how to fix that. And so you have like a contingency or like a fail safe in case something does not work the way that you want it to work. All right. So think of your framework as like a recipe card. Making decisions in your business is going to be a whole lot easier once you have a process in place for making those decisions. And I'm looking down because I wrote down a couple of quick things to keep in mind as it relates to developing your decision-making system. So the first thing that you want to do when you need to make a decision is you want to identify the problem that you're trying to solve. That's the first thing that you want to do. Identify the problem that you're trying to solve. How do you identify that problem? Either somebody is bringing that problem to your attention or you're collecting data, right? Well, that can kind of be the same thing. You're collecting data. So either you are collecting data by way of asking someone, by way of receiving feedback, or you're doing an audit. You're doing an audit of your system or your process and you're collecting data, you're testing things, or you have somebody to come in and test for you so that you can get that feedback. Once you get the feedback and you make the changes, you're going to make the decision, right? Make the decision, make whatever changes you need to make. And then from there, you're going to execute on that decision. You're going to execute You may even do another round of auditing or another round of testing. And then you get that feedback and you continue that loop until you're able to make the decision, achieve the desired outcome, and repeat that process. Once you're able to repeat it, then you can put it on autopilot. Okay, you can put it on autopilot. And if it's a decision that you can't necessarily automate in your business, it is still something that you want to have in place because it's going to save you time. So if somebody comes to you with a particular problem or a particular question, if you already have a process in place or a framework in place to help you think through the problem or think through the issue that they've brought to your attention, you can arrive at an answer a whole lot quicker. Okay. You can arrive at an answer a whole lot quicker and be able to keep things moving along, right? So before you get into your decision making system and putting that process in place, I want you to think about how many decisions did you make today that you've made before and you just haven't written them down yet. What were some of the repetitive decisions that you made today or repetitive questions that you answered today? Things that you do or say all the time and you just haven't written them down. Think about that and then move into the decision making process. Okay. Now, all of these systems work together. All of these systems work together to create a thriving business. Your money system is going to let you know what's possible. Your time management system is going to keep you on track with your capacity and keep you accountable to focusing on your goals. And then your decision making is going to help you move the needle forward faster. All right. They all work together to help create a grounded business, to help you create a thriving business. And it works together to create the structure that you need for the ease that you want. Unfortunately, nothing is easy like the first time that you do it. nothing is easy the first time that you do it. But if you do it enough, if you allow yourself to remain curious about it, and if you focus, you're able to put processes and procedures in place that allow it to be easy. And then it's like a walk in the park, right? It's like building that muscle, right? Building up your strength to be able to do the thing. Okay. So once you have these systems working together, once you have them tested, once you have delegated what you need to delegate, once you are clear on your time that you have, your capacity to get things done, once you are focused on the decisions that you need to make in order to help you move forward, you will be able to lean into that ease. You will be able to lean into that softness and that simplicity that you want. Right now, I've already mentioned it a couple of times before. I'm hosting a workshop to go into even more detail about these three systems. We're going to get together March 29th and help you to put the foundations in place for these three systems. The workshop is free. There will be a VIP option, but the workshop is free for you to register. If you comment workshop during this live stream, I will make sure that you get the link so that you can register. If you have listened to this and it has been a lot, but it's resonating with you and you know that you want help with your system sooner rather than later, comment quick fix and I'll make sure that you get the link to book your your 60-minute session with me. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in, whether you joined live or whether you joined on the replay. I appreciate you so much for being here. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your week, and I will be back probably next Wednesday to go live about some more systems things. But I'll be sure to post whenever I do go live again. And like I said, thanks for being here, and I will catch y'all later. Bye.